Welcome to the Dawgs Table. I'm one of your hosts, Craig Fountain, here with Ryan, my co-host. How's it going today, Ryan?
Busy. Excellent. But I'm here. I'm alive. How are you?
Almost late. You were almost late.
I'm
going to call you out.
I was close.
It was close. But we're here.
The holiday screwed me up. I know it screws up everybody, but
it doesn't feel like a Tuesday, right?
It does not. It does not.
But we're here and we're ready to go, and we're going to talk Browns. If you're new to the show, we are the Dawgs Table, a Cleveland Browns roundtable discussion show. Anybody can join. We're going to post a link in the comments, and you'll be able to join the show and talk to us face to face if you would like. It's kind of like Twitter Spaces, but a video version. And we've been doing it for a while now. And it's a lot of fun. Justin, thanks for joining the show. You can also comment on Facebook and YouTube. We can display and interact with your comments on there as well. You can ask us questions. You can comment. You can argue with us, applaud us, tell us we're nuts, whatever you want to do. We're fair game. We are brought to you by Labatt Blue Light and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. And we are part of Team Big Play. You can find us everywhere Big Play is found. All right. So to start the show off today, the big news this week was the David Njoku extension. And man, was this a big money extension. He is now a top 5 paid tight end in the NFL. This wasn't so much an extension as it was a contract to take place of the franchise tag. He was franchise tagged, I believe, back in March. He was due to make almost $11 million this year. Him and 2 other tight ends were tagged. And normally that doesn't happen. Normally you don't see tight ends getting franchise tagged. Either way, they came to an agreement, 4 years and almost $57 million. Now, this has created a little bit of controversy. There's some differing opinions out there.
28 million, Chris. 28.
Oops. I'm missing a comment there. Chris, thanks for joining the show. I got to get you in here, Ryan, so you can help me out with these comments.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot that. Yeah, it's all right. Good.
But yeah, 28 million guaranteed. And I believe if you look at annual average contract value, he's number 4. Ryan, what do you think of this deal? Is this a good deal for the Browns? We know it's a great deal for David Njoku.
Yeah, great deal for him. He cashes in, obviously. Let's look at it this way, guys. Austin Hooper didn't work out the way they were hoping. The guy, the wind blows and he falls over, right? So they get rid of him. They got to keep on. They got to hold on to the young talent. The young talent has to stay in the room. It's got to stay in the building. I look at it as a win for the Browns just because of where the relationship between Njoku and the Browns organization was last year. They salvaged that. They extended him long-term. He wants to be here. The guy's a freak of nature. If he puts it together, he has the ability to perform at that level. And my thing is you always have to pay to win. That's my motto. You have to pay to win in the NFL. You cannot, moneyball the NFL and expect to win Super Bowls. I know he's got a long way to go to prove the money that he was given. But I love it. I love keeping young, homegrown talent there. I don't want to lose him to somebody else and have an even worse position group. So I love it for him. I love it for the organization. And I think he's going to do big things this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And Craig, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you tuning in. Norman, good to see you as always. Steven's here. Steven's a dogstable.com contributor.
Steven.
You can check all of us out at dogstable.com. Norman says, great deal for both the Browns and Njoku. He has so far been the best blocking and receiving tight end on the team. So the argument here, controversies like a rough word. Like, it's not the rut. There's a lot of arguments out there that he didn't deserve this contract. And it boils down to one major question. And the problem is, as with anything else, as fans, we can't meet somewhere in the middle. We have to be all the way to one side or all the way to the other. And the question that everybody is asking is, do you pay for past performance or for future expectation? If you look strictly at past production and paying for his performance in the past, if you look at that, you isolate it, you look at only that, it's a terrible deal, right? Njoku is a freak of nature. He's an athletic beast. The ceiling on this guy is so high. But his best season came in 2018, Baker's rookie year, 639 yards. Since then, 41 yards, 213, 475. He's hit 4 touchdowns 3 times in his career. This is something where there's a lot of things happening, right? It's not just indicative of his play. Some of these years we didn't have the best quarterback play. Other years it wasn't the right situation for him, or there weren't enough targets to go around. We are also in a run-heavy offense. So Chris here says he better perform top 5 if he's getting paid like that. I'm with you. I'm with you. Top 5, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. There's some big names. He's up there with the big boys now. And the Browns must believe that he is going to hit those numbers. Now, if you look at it for, the other side of the spectrum, like not just past production, if you look at future potential, they must know that they're going to use him and use him heavily, right, in order to pay this kind of money. The answer does fall somewhere in the middle, though, whether or not you pay for past performance or future potential, because there's got to be a balance. And I think that Andrew Berry kept that in mind. Now, initially, I was pumped. I was like, David Njoku's back. I love David Njoku. Let's go. Like, I always wanted him to be here. I was really disappointed when he was, he wanted out of town. And then I'm stepping back. I'm like, wait a minute, though. Is this too much money? And then I kind of, for me, it evolved into I'm somewhere in the middle. It's not too much money. He's not overpaid. He's not underpaid. He doesn't deserve it on past production, but he does deserve it for a ceiling. But he does. Like Chris said, he's got to perform top 5. Steven says, let's not forget how good Watson made Darren Fells look. We cut him on our bad teams, and Njoku should be okay. Yep. Ryan, I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, that's an okay argument to make, right? Steven's not wrong. No, they use tight ends very heavily in Houston, but they also didn't have a run-first team with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We're going to have to be careful not to get too caught up in the statistics with David Njoku, right? Yeah. And that also lends to, the caveat on his past production. We can't get too caught up in the statistics. Darren Fells, man, he had a monster year.
He did. Made him look like a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely. Norm, you're absolutely right. It's for expected future production. And they are paying to play, like Ryan says. However, he's got to produce. It won't be a top 5 contract by next season. This is also a topic of discussion. Get it done now so you don't have to do it later. Skyler, another DawgsTable.com contributor. I think we will see more production this year, especially with him solidifying the tight end 1 spot. Yep. With Hooper gone. Again, there's that target share. And we had certain guys that were, heavily targeted. I think you'll see Amari Cooper heavily targeted, but we're not going to be forcing the ball to Odell. We're not going to be forcing it to Jarvis. I mean, it's not going to be, some of you guys aren't going to like that I said that. We were doing that. 100% we were forcing the ball to those guys. Absolutely. Norman says TDs and wins is the only stat that matters. I agree.
Let's look at it this way. Deshaun Watson is a completely different skill set than Baker Mayfield was. He likes to spread the ball around. He's very mobile. He likes to create on the run. He likes to scramble. He will not just fall over in the pocket when the pocket collapses around him. He's going to make things happen. And that's where somebody like David Njoku's athleticism comes into play, especially in the red zone. You've got somebody in the red zone where you get a pressure situation and Watson scrambles out of the pocket. He can make an off-balance throw to someone like Njoku in the corner of the end zone or in the back of the end zone and expect him to hopefully make that play based on his athleticism. We've seen Njoku make a lot of catches that kind of made you scratch your head. You're like, dang, where's this at every time this guy gets the ball? Because he's so athletic and strong that he can jump over people. So I think we get too caught up in the numbers. The salary cap is a myth. I've said that forever. The salary cap's a myth. Contracts are myths. Everything can be moved around. Money can be moved. Money can be changed. I wouldn't worry about the Browns being in some type of salary cap hell moving forward because of Njoku or anybody else for that matter, because it can all be switched around. And I think Andrew Berry has shown that he is a wizard when it comes to the salary cap. And the people on his team have shown the same. So I just think that we need to pump the brakes a little bit and realize that we have a different skill set at quarterback going into this next season, no matter how many games he's there. And that skill set is very, very good for spreading the ball around. We don't have two guys on this team right now that we have to force feed the ball to. We have, an athletic tight end. We have running backs out of the backfield. We've got Amari Cooper on the edge. It's totally different. Deshaun Watson is going to make all the difference in this situation, and I think everybody just kind of gets too caught up in the money. And just pump the brakes, relax, that we're going to be all right.
Yeah, and Chris, to answer your question, and I do have Spot Track up. So, just to look at let's look at average annual value for tight ends, right? We have George Kittle. He signed a 5-year, $75 million deal. He's a $15 million per year average. Travis Kelce, well, let me add this. Kittle's 26 years old. Okay. Travis Kelce, 30 years old, 14.3. Dallas Goedert, 26 years old, 14.2. Mark Andrews, 24 years old. He came out the year. Was he 2018 with Baker? I know he was Baker's tight end in college. 4-year, $14 million per year. Njoku, 13.6 per year. Now, I think the point that Norman's making is the market's changing. Some of these guys could demand more money. Mark Andrews could demand more money. He probably should. George Kittle, it's going to depend on if he stays healthy. But we do have some young tight ends or some tight ends that are on deals that don't really match what their production is. They could be looking for a new one. Darren Waller, $7.4 million a year. And many people are like, listen, if we can get just Darren Waller out of Njoku, if we can get that production out of Njoku, then he's made his money, and we're happy with that. But he's making half as much money. Tyler Higbee, he's a guy. Will Dissly, he's a guy that, if he can stay healthy, he can do something. TJ Hawkinson is 21 years old.
He's still on a rookie deal, right?
He's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
I could go down and down and down the list. Is that right? 21 years old. So is
he's young.
According to Spot Track, Noah Fant is also only 21 years old. Dalton Schultz, he's also franchise tagged. Jasicki, I believe, is franchise tagged. So they're both at 10.9, same as Njoku was. Could drive their value up, but we could go on and on. I could go down and down and down the list, but the tight end market, there are going to be guys asking for more money. You could make an argument that these guys at the top of the list with David Njoku's deal now may be underpaid. The first guy that comes to mind for me is Mark Andrews.
Darren
Waller's underpaid. I mean, he's a little bit of an older guy. He had some substance abuse issues. He's come a long way. He's kind of broke out of his shell over the past couple of years. That guy's a beast. So even though he's 29 years old, there's still a lot of upside for him. Right. Steven says, honestly, the yards don't matter or his receptions. I feel his production should be looked at for first downs and touchdowns. Norman says Trey McBride and or Jalen Weidermeyer. All right, so those are some guys a few years down the road. Chris says, for the record, I like the deal, just don't want to regret it in 2 years. Yeah, you know what, Craig? I was going to say 21 didn't sound right. But yeah, Spot Track's got him at 21. That's weird. Oh, no. All right, I read the titles wrong. That's the age that they signed their deal.
Oh, okay.
That makes more sense. End of the day, we don't need a top 5 tight end. We need our tight end to play his role for us 3 years from now, and Njoku's contract won't be an issue.
Right.
I think the argument isn't is Njoku good? It again goes back to what I said before. People want to argue, should players be paid for past performance or future production potential? So, again, it's got to be somewhere in the middle. But we did run a Twitter poll on this. So let's go to our weekly Twitter poll. Here we go. All right. Ryan's dancing to the music as always. Twitter poll: is David Njoku's new deal excessive? And we just covered this. Normally, we like to discuss the Twitter poll up front before going over the results. Let's play a little game. And this is something I used to do a lot. We haven't done so much since you joined the show, Ryan. But how do you feel? Now, keep in mind, this is Twitter. We run this on Twitter because we don't get that functionality on Facebook and YouTube to run polls, right? So, Browns Twitter, how do you think they voted? What do you think the results were?
I'm going to say just right and overpaid are probably neck and neck, with maybe just right being a little bit.
Well, we did a yes or no. We did a yes or no.
Okay, so I'm going to go no. I'm going to say they voted no.
Okay. Here's the results. And if you're watching, keep in mind we are sponsored by Labatt Blue Light and brought to you by Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. We are part of Team Big Play. If you are watching on YouTube, give us a subscribe. That's a tough word for me to say, apparently. On Facebook, give us a like. Share the video. If you're on Twitter, retweet this. We're sorry we can't see your comments in the studio. Let's see. All right. That's up to the team they play for, honestly. All right. Here's the results. Twitter poll. Yes. Says 45.7%. No, 54.3%. And this is why I mentioned it was kind of a divisive conversation, because it's, no one. All right. There was only 5% in either direction. It's very split down the middle, how people feel about this deal. But what's done is done. This isn't going to hurt us. It's going to be okay. Let's just say he is overpaid. Like Ryan said, you got to pay to play. You gotta pay to win. If that's what it took to keep him here, as opposed to going to Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or Kansas City or Buffalo, then fine. I don't want to see him in any of those uniforms at all. I'm perfectly fine with it. So let's enjoy him while he's here. We get another 4 years, and there we go. All right. So past performance versus future production. Ryan.
Yep.
We were arguing on Twitter a little bit, friendly arguing. we're we don't get mad at each other.
No.
All right. So I tweeted something, and I'm curious. You guys let me know in the comments. Actually, let me just check the comments here. Craig Foster said he voted no. Norman said another core player locked up. Absolutely. All right. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. There was an article posted by Browns Wire. I found it on Yahoo. I tweeted out the article. The article was basically said, listen, in the absence of Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett is going to have to be at least as good as 2021 Baker Mayfield this season for the Browns. Now, what I tweeted out this article was that Brissett isn't as good as Baker Mayfield. He's just not, in my opinion. So by tweeting that, what I basically said was, if we need him to be as good as 2021 Baker, we're in trouble. Ryan, you strongly disagree. So we're going to hash this out like men, face to face. Go ahead. Why am I wrong?
Let's put it this way. My argument for Jacoby is that he is going to be more reliable than Baker Mayfield. I don't think Baker Mayfield is a reliable quarterback. I think that is part of the reason why he is no longer the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. I think that it's just Jacoby Brissett has been in the league longer than Baker Mayfield, and he has not had one season where he's thrown more than double-digit interceptions. Like, I don't think he's ever had a season with double-digit interceptions. Baker Mayfield has had 3 out of the years that he started for the Cleveland Browns. He's had 13 in 2021. He had 21 interceptions in 2019. He had 14 in 2018. Jacoby Brissett, as a starter in the NFL, has had 1 season of 6 interceptions and 1 season of 7 interceptions for a grand total of 17 he had another season in 2021 where he had 4 interceptions. So he has 17 total interceptions. Baker Mayfield has over 50 interceptions in his career. Like, he just plays a lot more smart does not panic in the way that Baker Mayfield does. Baker gets happy feet. He throws bad interceptions. He makes bad decisions. And he's just not reliable in the sense that he has times where he throws amazingly beautiful balls, but he's just not reliable. It doesn't happen every time he throws the ball. Jacoby Brissett does not have as many touchdowns as Baker Mayfield does, which that's fine. It could be argued that he probably hasn't played on a team that's had as much talent on it that Baker has had. But at the same time, I look at reliability. When I want my quarterback on the field, I want to know in that 2-minute drill at the end of the game that I can say to myself, all right, we have a really good chance of winning this game right now because I trust my quarterback to at least get me into field goal position. I couldn't say that about Baker Mayfield while he was the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. How many times has he had that opportunity where he's had the ball late in the game? All he has to do is get the team into at least field goal position, and he can't even get him there. He can't even make it through a first down. So to me, that's just where I stand on it. I just think that he doesn't have the arm like Baker does, like Steven's kind of alluding to there. The skill set's different for sure, but I think quarterback in the NFL, sometimes the mind can trump the skill set, and I think that really comes into the reliability factor of it, and that's why I think that Jacoby may surprise a lot of people that think that he's just there to be a placeholder, but there's a reason they brought him in and got rid of the other guy that was there last year. I'm having a brain fart. Keenum. Case Keenum. So yeah. So I just think, I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. I think he's very reliable. I think he's very smart. He's intelligent. And I think he's going to fit the system that Stefanski wants to run with going forward better than Baker Mayfield did in any of his years here.
So there's not a whole lot of ways to argue this, right? Like you're looking at statistics, you're making certain interpretations based on those. You're looking at Brissett's career, what he's done, what his opportunities have been. So I can look at this either way. I mean, do you want to look at 2021 Baker Mayfield versus 2021 Brissett, or do you want to look at career-wise? Because either way, I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback. Now, before we get into that, let me at least preface by saying, because all I got in my Twitter mentions and comments was Baker's not with the team, like, let it go. Like, that's not what I was saying. I wasn't saying that Baker Mayfield should be the quarterback of the Browns. I'm just saying Brissett is not Mayfield. We are in trouble if you, in fact, believe that we need him to be Baker at a minimum if he's on the field. Brissett has a much smaller sample size. That being said, he has shown to be efficient if you look at touchdowns to interceptions, right? He throws far more touchdowns than interceptions. If you look at 2021, he had 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He won 2 games, lost 3. He was with Miami Dolphins. Baker went 6-8, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. They both had Baker had a 60.5% completion percentage, Brissett 62.7. Different sample size. However, both rough years if you compare the two. With that being said, I get that. I get the brains over brawn or the decision-making over athleticism. But to me, that doesn't equate to wins. And that doesn't mean that I don't think he gives us a better chance because of that reason than Baker Mayfield. If that were the case, if playing with your head was what got you wins, Josh McCown wouldn't be on, he wouldn't have been on 100 teams and going nowhere. Brian Hoyer played with his head. There's a lot of smart football players, great decision makers, that they're just not going to equate to wins. Brissett doesn't give you anything on the ground. I think he actually gives you less than Baker Mayfield if he's got to get out of the pocket, if he's got to move the ball. People look at him, they stereotype him, and they think that he's a running quarterback. He's not. I've seen a lot of people trying to sell the fact that he's mobile. He is not mobile. That is one thing that he is not. If you look at their careers as a whole, Brissett's been in the league for 2 more years than Baker Mayfield. Let me refresh my page here. And let's see. Let's compare them for their career.
Brissett's thrown for roughly half the yards that Baker has.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, Brissett's record is 14-23. Baker's is 29-30. Baker Mayfield has a higher completion percentage. He has a higher, higher quarterback rating. He's got a better. Okay, so Brissett's 36 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Mayfield 92-56. They're actually relatively comparable on the ground, both with about 3.6 yards per carry when they have to run the ball. I'm behind on my comments.
You're okay. They're blowing up.
He doesn't push the ball the way a healthy Baker can. Jacoby never took a team to the playoffs. Also, to be honest, Baker is not a berry pick either. Steven says I got this argument without even having to argue. Over 7,700 yards. I raise you another 7,000 to 14,125. Almost 7,000 with Baker. Baker was a bottom tier QB last year. I truly think Jacoby is going to be just fine and surprise a lot of people. Listen, Baker struggled last year. We can call it whatever we want. We can call it he was in his head. We can say 2020 and 2018 were flukes. 2019 and 2021 were the real Baker. We can call it whatever you want. We can say that he was hurt, whatever. But, you know, I don't think that means Brissett's a better guy. I mean, I get the argument that we just need somebody to play bottom 5 QB or better. You know what I mean? Ryan, what are you trying to say here?
No, I'm waiting for Steven to show himself out over there, getting smart with me in the comments. No. Okay. So my argument is this. I'm not saying that he's a better overall player or quarterback than Baker Mayfield. My argument was that he was going to be more reliable than Baker Mayfield. That just in the statistics alone should be a given. In the amount of interceptions, the amount of turnovers. I mean, Jacoby Brissett doesn't even have he's not even the same stratosphere as how often Baker Mayfield turned the ball over. I mean, he's played on worse teams with less talent than Baker Mayfield has. So, I mean, it could be argued that a quarterback with half a pulse could throw less interceptions in a season than Baker Mayfield has with the Browns, with the amount of talent that he's had on this team. It just shouldn't. There should not be seasons where your quarterback is throwing for over 21 interceptions. You know, to me, it's just reliability is what I look for in a quarterback. I'm not saying that he's more skilled, more athletic, or anything of that nature. I'm just saying that in the end, I would feel more comfortable with Jacoby Brissett leading me on a 2-minute drive and making the right decisions on that drive than I would Baker Mayfield. It's just the fact of the matter. I don't see that in Baker Mayfield. That's the reason he's not with the Browns anymore. He can't be trusted. He makes bad decisions. He panics, and you don't see that out of Jacoby. It's you know, that's just my argument with it. So I don't know.
Yeah. So last year, to answer your question, Chris, last year, Brissett played for Miami. He went 2-3. His best 2 seasons as a quarterback, 2017 and 2019. Both those seasons were with the Indianapolis Colts. In 2017, he went 4-11 with the Colts, threw for 3,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That's a lot of yards to throw for 13 touchdowns. That's interesting. I never noticed that before. Regardless, he threw, only 1 interception basically for every 2 touchdowns he threw. But they went 4-11. In 2019, he went 7-8 with the Colts in 15 games. He threw for 2,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions.
Who was the wide receiving core on those teams?
It's the Colts. So if it was post Reggie Wayne, it doesn't matter if they got drafted out of Ohio State or not. They sucked. But I got you, Ohio State homers. Don't worry. Anyways, what's weird is, I don't know, his career, looking at his individual seasons, they're very similar to Baker Mayfield's 2019 and 2021. With that being said, Baker Mayfield has the upside of 2018, 2020. The ceiling's higher, which is probably why he's going to get a chance to start for another team. Brissett's only going to get a chance to start for another team. If he parlays this gig, should he be called upon, into something spectacular and goes out and gets a Tyrod Taylor type deal somewhere. This is probably his last chance to really get a starting gig, if you ask me. I mean, he's a backup quarterback. It is what it is. So I also, when I tweeted that, I said, hopefully it doesn't come to that. This isn't we need to start Baker. Baker needs to come back. The Baker thing's over. The Baker thing's over. But it was just something interesting to debate about. There's not a whole lot going on right now.
I'll tell you what, if he ends up playing I'll do this live in front of everybody. If he ends up playing longer, than we would like him to this season, and he looks like absolute dog crap, I will buy you a steak dinner. But I'm telling you, he's going to surprise you. That's my bet with you. That's my promise for you, I guess.
So how do we define dog crap? Like if he plays,
well, I mean,
you're in the Canton area. I'm in the Canton area. There's a really good steakhouse in Belton, Lucia's, and I'd love a steak from Lucia's.
I've been there several times. I'll buy you a steak. Well, okay. I'm saying, like, if he's got to play, a half a season, let's say, and he leads them to a losing record in that half season, then, obviously he's not playing up to par, especially with the talent on the team. So, we'll go with that. We'll see. We'll hash the details out. But I'm saying if he looks like poo, then I will buy you a steak dinner. But I don't.
Sounds like if Brissett plays 6 games or more and he goes sub 500, you owe me a steak.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right.
I'll do that.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So let's go on to this week's Dog of the Week. Here we go. All right. So every week we do our City Dogs of Cleveland Dog of the Week. And this segment in the regular season, we have Dogs of the Week. We have an offensive Dog of the Week, defensive Dog of the Week, but we don't have any MVPs. There is no games being played. We're in the offseason, so it's just Dog of the Week. And we're going to feature an adoptable dog. And this week's dog is Carlin. And there's a photo of Carlin right there. Carlin is a total toy fiend, and it's a delight to watch him tear into and gleefully carry around his new favorite prizes. Luckily, he has a volunteer best friend who keeps him regularly supplied with a new toy whenever he loves his previous one a little too hard. He is an active fellow with some youthful and occasionally bouncy energy, but he is very attentive to his person and knows how to sit on a dime. He's got smarts to go with his handsomeness. Carlin has been to a few different outings with a volunteer now and consistently gets top marks. He's good in the car, enjoys the chance to watch or smell the world go by out the window, out on a walk. He seems to really enjoy the chance to explore some new grounds and gets readily excited by those pesky squirrels running around. Carlin is quite treat motivated and seems like the kind of dog who would thrive with further training to keep his mind as well as his body sharp. Carlin is also a sweet and friendly fellow, and his affectionate side really shines through the more you get to know him. He has been increasingly frustrated at the kennel and would really benefit from finding his new home where he can really relax and learn a routine. Carlin is estimated to be around 1.5 years old and weigh 58 pounds. And I was talking to Beth with City Dogs of Cleveland today, and she sent me Carlin, and Carlin's one of the dogs that's been there longer than any of the others. And if you are interested in meeting Carlin to see if you might be a great fit for his forever home, you can reach out to City Dogs of Cleveland at City Dogs CLE on Twitter, at City Dogs Cleveland on Facebook. You can reach them also at 216-664-3476. That is, once again, Carlin with City Dogs of Cleveland. If you want help getting in touch with them, reach out to me, reach out to Ryan, reach out to the show's social media handles. We will get you in touch with the City Dogs of Cleveland if you're interested in Carlin or another dog. Steven's already trying to taste my steak. He says medium rare with trimmings. Lucia's does great steak. They're one of the better steakhouses in the Canton area. It comes with butter all over it. There's nothing better than butter on steak. It's Exactly. All right. So we are going to post the link in the comments. And if you're watching the show and want to join, simply click on the link. It's going to say StreamYard. And if you click on the link, it'll bring you in, and we'll see you down in what we call the dog pen at the bottom of our screen. We'll know you're in the studio, and we will bring you on with us. Bring something to the table. Bring a question, bring a comment, bring a subject to talk about. That's the whole point of the show. This isn't just for me and Ryan to argue in front of you guys or to have a soapbox for us to talk about what we want to talk about. You guys control the show. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. So when I post that link, come in and
everybody except for Steven.
All right. Let's make sure that gets posted everywhere. And all right. So some news came out this evening, and we probably won't go too deep into it, but we have to mention it. We just kind of have to. A 23rd lawsuit has been filed against Deshaun Watson. This report came out earlier this evening. If you've been on dawgstable.com, you'll know that Skylar, who was in the comments earlier, wrote a little piece about the report, letting you know who, what, where, when, why. Essentially, a young lady who I don't know if she's young, a girl, a lady, a woman, a female that had considered suing Watson when the other lawsuits came about. She had not sued him. And after watching the HBO segment that shined a light on two of his accusers, let them speak and get their message out to the world, she felt like it was time for her to come forward as well. You can take that for what it is. We're pretty much just here to tell you about it. But 23rd lawsuit. There may be more to come. So I think, and something Skylar brought up in when he wrote this up, the big question is this going to affect the NFL and their decision making on the future of Deshaun Watson? Any thoughts, Ryan?
It's a tough one, man. I mean, you can have opinions on both sides of the table on this one. To me personally, I think it's weird, but at the same time, there's arguments that can be made that can rationalize, it for me. But I hope it doesn't affect the NFL investigation. The only thing it's going to do is prolong any type of disciplinary action that could come out, which, depending on how long it takes, could be beneficial for the Browns or it could not be. It's you just don't know. It's just too much that goes into it. It's I would hope that the NFL would at least have already maybe known about this female before, that, maybe she was somebody that had been talked to prior and just decided now to file. But it's tough, man. It's tough to have an opinion either way because, it could go both ways and there's both sides of the table, like I said. So it's the 23rd. We're going to let it be what it is, and we're going to see where it goes from here. I hope it doesn't affect anything. I hope it doesn't prolong anything, but there's a very good chance that it could. You're muted, buddy.
We have in the dog pen. I do it once a show. You guys already know it's going to happen.
I know.
It is what it is. We have in the dog pen, we have Steven. We are going to bring in Steven. How's it going, Steven?
What's going on, fellas? How we doing this afternoon? Hey, big thumbs up for Ryan over there. Hey, I'll give them to you, bro. Words can't express the moment that we're all here talking. I really enjoyed this.
Welcome on, buddy. Welcome on.
Yeah, thanks for joining the show. What are your thoughts, Steven? You got any thoughts on this new report?
I don't think it's any more incriminating than the last report. I myself watched the HBO special, and with the utmost respect and sensitivity to women, I wasn't really overwhelmingly compelled after hearing that story. I mean, I'm listening to it, and you're hearing facts from both sides, and there's a few women that made very credible cases, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not any bit more moved. I'm not going to change my stance. I'm still 4 to 6 weeks on a suspension. I mean, I don't want to, there's a lot of guys saying, and the only thing going for them is that they're saying, these were white women and this is a black man. They're going to make an example of them. And if that's the best you can say against a man, I mean, you have a point, but I can't make that point. You know what I mean? I don't understand it, so I really hope that we just get it right. Whatever happens, we just get it right, and that's all. From football perspective, couldn't be more excited to see the man wear a jersey, to wear a Cleveland Browns jersey. I can say that much.
Yeah. So, and he brings up an interesting point, and maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention, but we only know the identity of two of the accusers, correct? So, yes. So we try not to get political or anything like that, or get too far into race, religion, politics, any of that stuff. But we don't know at this point if it could be racially motivated, right? We know that the two women that came out on HBO, I believe they were white, but that is
one was white, one was black. I will tell you
one was black. Okay.
Yes,
all right. I read the transcripts. For some reason, I saw a couple clips, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch the whole thing. To me, it was probably a fluff piece. Regardless of what side of the fence I fall on with my opinion of Deshaun Watson and what happened and how it relates to football, I'm really not interested in bias on either side. So for me, I didn't watch it. I read a few of the transcripts, a few of the comments, watched a couple of the clips that just happened to be on my news feed. All right, so that's something that we could possibly look into down the road, whether or not anything's racially motivated. But as of right now, we only know the identity of two of the accusers. Now, he did say that we should be looking for more lawsuits to come. So Norman says, yeah, my pillow fluff. All right, now we're getting political. Man, Norman's on fire down there. Norman, you need a good steak, like the one we were talking about earlier. Yeah,
that'll come down to Lucia's and get him a nice medium rare fillet.
Got a nice joint down my way called the Riverside Inn. They do a hell of a porterhouse, let me tell you.
I like.
And you're where? Northwestern PA?
I'm from Erie. I just moved on outside of Cambridge, but Erie. I mean, we share the same lake, as dirty as it is. We all know that.
But yeah, I think everyone's kind of dug into whatever they think at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, innocent until proven guilty, but there's the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion. There's the old saying, they're like assholes. Everybody's got one, but right. And I don't think anybody's mind's going to change. Like, I don't think there's anything that could happen that's going to change anybody's minds at this point. So right. My stance is to kind of just stay as neutral as possible until something damning one way or the other comes out that can be trusted. I'm staying as neutral as possible. So
I will say this though, Ryan, I do agree with you. I think because of our team that Brissett's not really, if we're going to stay on this top thing, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Brissett is going to be our quarterback because we offer so much as a team. And I'm not a gung-ho fan. I've never been a guy to, this is the year. I'm not him. I read through the lines, but this truly is the best roster I've ever seen us have. And the fact that we've brought back most of our key players in defense. I mean, we watched the games. We know special teams killed us. I mean, I don't even want to have to talk about offense. I really feel special teams killed us. And the turnovers, we were expecting more turnovers as a defense. I'm sure everyone was. And the continuity coming back over, that's usually the number one thing you see in a defense when you bring back some key players, those leverage players, however you want to call them. I mean, it's the turnover war. And I think, honestly, this year it's going to be the year that we win the turnover war, which is going to make our offense not need to work so hard. I mean, we watched a broken, battered Baker last year. And, yeah, I get it, guys. I'm happy because he let his pride mess up our season. He let his pride mess up our season. We don't need that. We need someone who wants to play team ball. We don't need this great guy. We just need someone to come in and be a guy that listens to the scheme, the play calling. It doesn't want to change things up. We don't need a gunslinger. We need someone to hand the ball off and make the right throw, not force the ball. And I mean, that's the one thing about Baker that I loved. When he's healthy, he forced the ball, and there was times it was great, but we don't need that no more. We need to rely on our guys. I know you love Hunt, Ryan. I love Chubb. I think we have a great tandem trio of running backs. So we just need to stick to what we're good at, and everything's going to fall into place this year because of the continuity, in my opinion. As long as we can stay healthy, our team that looked good last year is gonna look better this year.
So here's a question for you guys. Play a little game of speculation. Which position group is going to disappoint this year? Right? Like, so let's think about it. This time last year, we wanted to tell everybody that we had the best wide receiving core in the NFL. We had Jarvis Landry. We had Odell Beckham Jr. Donovan Peoples-Jones was going to be the best wide receiver 3 in the NFL. And you know what? If you need a little speed, we have the fastest guy in the league. Nobody is going to touch our wide receiver core. And it was probably our weakest position group on the field. Which position group do we have to worry about disappointing this year?
So normally everybody knows how I feel about the wide receiver room. I still feel like they need somebody else. But I'm going to go away from that on this one. I'm going to say defensive tackle. I think that the defensive tackle position is going to be terrible. Honestly, I really do. Don't think. Go ahead.
Is it going to be like a disappointment? As in like we think they're going to be far better than they actually are? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that everybody at this point is putting faith in the fact that if they go forward with who they have in the defensive tackle room right now, that Andrew Berry feels like this is it. This is his team. This is who's going to be, the best in that room. And this is what we're going to go with moving forward. I think that's a false sense of security. I think that he just does not value that position. He does not value putting money into that position. And I think that's ultimately the biggest fact about this situation. It's not that he's comfortable with who he has there. It's just that he doesn't feel that it's the most important position that he needs to dump money into, which I disagree with. Because when you have two guys that are on the edge like Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, who are consistently almost every play bursting into the backfield and overrunning run plays, your defensive tackles have to keep that run in front of them. And if you don't have defensive tackles that can not get blocked 35 yards down the field, then, you're going to suffer from that. And I think that screws everything down from your defensive line back to your cornerbacks, because if your defensive tackles can't get tackles or stuff the run, then your linebackers are doing more than what they should need to do and are trying to, account for two different phases of the game. So it just puts everybody into a bind when you cannot stop the run. And I just don't like it. And I don't understand why he doesn't agree with that. But I do think that everybody has a sense of security moving forward, that if he does go with that group, that's who they feel is the best situation moving forward. And I think that they need a veteran to come in there. And one thing I will say is I think I saw a report today that Akeem Hicks was going to Tampa Bay. So that's very interesting for me as far as Sue goes, because does Sue go back there now? I don't think so. So it'll just be they need somebody else. I just don't. I think it's going to be an issue, and I think it's going to be 4 games into the season where everybody's going to go, why can't we stop the run? Why can't we stop the run? Well, it's because you don't have anybody in the middle of the defensive line that can stop the damn run. So
Hey, can I jump in on that? If I can, I agree with you, Ryan. I would like more of a polished, proven player at D tackle. But I do believe, given the fact that there's going to be so much game plan on our edge, and our edge has got better, not just with Clowney, but quietly, the really good addition was Winovich. Chase Winovich is going to make, you're going to see him a lot. You're going to see Clowney kick in, Garrett kick in, and him come out. He's going to play Tack 2.0, but better. Yeah, I mean, he's not as well of a speed rusher, but he's a much more complete end than Tack McKinley was. I think that's going to take a little pressure off the line. Jordan Elliott didn't get a lot of nothing popped out on tape, but he didn't. If you actually look at it, he didn't do a lot of bad on tape. It was Malik McDowell, and we're going to miss his presence in the pass rush. I'm going to guarantee you that we're going to miss his presence in the pass rush until one of these defensive tackles come into play. But yeah, I get you, Ryan. And Craig, I do think our defensive tackles is something that we should expect, to bother us. I don't understand why he doesn't value this position, because you go back in time and we look at all the great linebackers, they've always had great lines. Right? Everyone wants to talk about Ray Lewis. Nobody wants to talk about Tony Saragusa and Sam Adams. Nobody wants to talk about them. And you go over to the Buccaneers when they had this great. Nobody wants to talk about Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, and Jesus. There's Gerald. Maybe it was Gerald. Forgive me, I can't. But there are other defensive. Yeah, it might be McCoy. Maybe he came after, but I'm not positive. But they always want to talk about the linebacker. They don't want to talk about the tackle. I really do hope that one of these young guys that they have faith in or haven't, really steps up this year. I'm actually expecting Tommy Two Guy. I'm not an Ohio State guy. I'm not that. I'm a Florida fan. So that's why I'm not as high on Brissett, because I've seen him play in college. I do think he's reached his ceiling and he's a backup, but we don't need nothing more than that. But not to change the subject, just that I think defensive tackles can be lackluster for us comparatively when you're playing in the North, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have this dominant defensive line. I mean, it's dominant, and it's going to be a problem. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we have to bank our money. We have to bank our money on our general manager knowing what he does, and our scouts doing what they do best.
Yeah, just give me one. Just give me one veteran, one reliable veteran that can come in there and do something. You look at the last two Super Bowl champion teams, Tampa Bay and
LA.
the Rams. Who do they have at defensive tackle?
But see, their best, but their best, but their best defensive tackle at stopping the run was Amal Robinson, number 94.
Right. I'm just saying that those teams both had.
That's the kind of guy we need in Cleveland. We don't need a big name. We just need someone that's a well-polished run stopper. That's it.
Right.
And I do believe Tavon Bryant played out of position, but if you actually watched him play in position, Tavon Bryant, there was times he looked good. He played in horrible teams. Horrible. I mean, I do think we should expect something from him as well, as far as maybe he shows some of that first-round flash, first-round athleticism, some of the stuff that got him drafted, He's going to be able to have someone take the pressure off of him, because you're lining up next to a Garrett, Clowney, and they're worried about our linebackers. Whatever they say, they're worried about. Everyone wants to talk about JOK. I like when Jacob Phillips is healthy, he's phenomenal. I mean, I do think the pressure is taken off our D tackles, but you're right, though. It is a good question. I want to know how it plays out. I'm scared to know how it plays out, but I'm a Browns fan either way.
And you mentioned Winovich. I think Winovich is going to play some outside linebacker for us as well. I think you'll see him floating around out there.
What kind of package? Because I only see him working. I only really see him working in like our 4-3 or wide 9 scheme. You know what I mean? Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he has the ability to play in space and play on the edge, and I think that that's something that they could take advantage of. And you could see him drop back in some situations. He's a little bit different than someone like Clowney, where he's not as tall and long. He's got a little bit more move to him. He's more of a linebacker body, if you think about it. So you could see it for sure.
So I'm going to go a different direction than you guys. I think that the position group that's at the greatest risk of disappointing relative to the expectations is going to be the offensive line. I keep seeing two things. Whenever I post anything about somebody other than Baker Mayfield on offense, they say with our O-line and a quarterback that can actually throw. Because you can't not say a quarterback that can actually throw. We're in that day and age. All right. Even if we're not bringing that up, I'm just throwing that out there. But they say with our O-line. Now, Jedrick Wills, this is the season where he has to prove that he is the answer at left tackle. I'm not convinced at all. We'll see what happens. And, you have Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio. Those two, I have zero doubt in. Zero. Absolutely zero doubt in those two. Those two guys are going to be what's going to make this offensive line. You have Nick Harris as center. We can get hyped about him and say he's looked good and he's a great prospect and this and that and the other. We don't know. He's filled in a couple times. We don't know what he's going to do. He could be a Wyatt Teller, where he's somebody that somebody could have acquired for a 7th round pick, and now he's playing at a future Hall of Fame level. If he can continue this for 7 or 8 more years. And Conklin is ripe for regression. He's getting older. He's coming off of an injury. He hasn't been super reliable. If he's healthy, he's a premier right tackle. He's elite, in my opinion. but it's not always that easy. I think that this offensive line could struggle regardless of whether we have our entire starting unit on the field or not. And with one injury, especially to the wrong guy, this entire offense could crumble based on that. Thank God we have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb that can kind of battle through some of that. Hopefully we have Deshaun Watson's wheels, to where he can navigate around that in the pocket. But this could get super rough. This could get super rough.
That's kind of why I wasn't really a big fan of the Treader move, getting rid of Treader. I mean, your center position is really, really important, and they're putting an awful lot of faith in Nick Harris. And it's one of those situations where you're like, well, if they feel like he's the guy, he's the guy. But, you don't know until he gets in there, performs, and he gets hurt, then who do you have? It's going to be tough, man. You have a very good point.
Mark my words, wherever Treader goes, they're going to value them. That pickup's going to be highly valued. Treader was everything he wasn't in Green Bay, but he was everything he was supposed to be when he was drafted for us. He was enormous. His consistency, he wasn't a great run blocker, overwhelmingly strong, but you know what? He was in the center. He was an anchor, and he was a variable part of that run game because he called all the run push audibles last year. You hear it. You know what I mean? Baker's up his, talking to him. He's screaming left side, right side, getting the audibles right. If I can, I feel like since we're worried about what side might not live up, I feel like we should feel really good about our secondary. I do. I really feel good about our secondary, though. And reason being, I like Newsome. I like Greedy Williams. I love Denzel Ward. I like isn't the word. I love Denzel Ward. I think we have as good as secondary as anyone else, not even including our safeties. I think our safeties are good. The fact they brought back Ronnie Harrison was huge, and him healthy would be a big difference for us this year. Big difference. I'm happy that we put Newsome in the slot because he has the hips to cover these faster guys coming out of the slot, and he can be an outside corner. There's no doubt about it. I thought he was good, but I think what makes him better than the rest is he has very fluid hips, very, very fluid hips. They just move. He changes direction. He's no more than an arm off you. You're not going to hook him. You're not going to slant him. He's going to stay with you. We got burned a lot in that sense last year, especially, forgive me, a lot of Browns fans said, oh, MJ Stewart. I thought MJ Stewart was horrible for us last year. He was just like the person that everybody went to score on against us, in my opinion. He was a good tackler. He was an all right downhill tackler. And, but coverage-wise, man, I'm just grateful that we have someone to fill in this void that came up and is willing to play, that's willing to play and use his athleticism. That's what makes Newsome really good, his athleticism,
People aren't taking this whole Newsome nickel slot news very well on social media. I'll be interested to see how it works out, but he seems to feel it's going to make him a better player, and they must have faith in Emerson or Greedy on the outside. So
anyone that's watched, I mean, honestly, I felt I got kicked out of spaces talking with Browns fans because I told them this was going to happen. They told me it wasn't going to happen, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, where's Emerson's going to play slot? Emerson's not going to play slot. Have you ever watched it? I watched him play. I watched a couple of games. The kid's an outside corner. You know what I'm saying? His comp is, he's a big corner comp. They're not meant to play the inside. I mean, people think this is the end of the world. It's a bad thing. No, it's a good thing that we're putting our talented corner in a spot where we needed talented player. It doesn't matter if you play nickel or not. It doesn't matter.
I think it is. I think it's more indicative to Greedy improving last year. I was very skeptical going into the season if we were going to get any type of reliable playing time out of Greedy, just because I honestly thought that the shoulder injury was going to hinder him more. But the fact that he did look pretty decent in some of the games that he filled in, I think that probably gave them a little bit of hope. And if Newsome does move inside, that I think you're probably going to see a lot of Greedy out there on the outside first. And
he's starting as of now during OTAs. He's been the starter, yeah. and I'm gonna vouch that unless he's injured, he's the starter. Greedy Williams, if you watch him last year, he has the ability to not run. He's uber athletic. I mean, that's the one thing our corners have. Emerson's the only one out there that's not uber athletic, and the rest of them are uber athletic. And I mean, Greedy doesn't have to run full speed. he can just keep up with you, track the ball, and take off because he has the arm length, he has the eyes. He's a ball hawk. Listen, that's probably our biggest weakness last year. If you think about it, how many times big receivers? I mean, they took advantage of us. Big receivers. You could think of Adams Christmas Day. You could think of Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of games where you see these taller receivers picking on our shorter corners. We need the height, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see the outside locked up with good receivers. I mean, I'm apologize, good corners. Forgive me.
All right. So, Ryan, any closing thoughts?
Stay off the ledge, Browns fans. We'll see how it goes. We're in a good spot. I love you guys. You're crazy. You know, we'll be all right. Let's just let's let all this play out and see what we do. But I'm gonna say that I still think we end up with a free agent defensive tackle and a free agent wide receiver sometime down the line.
All right, Steven, appreciate you joining the show tonight. We'll talk to you later. We're glad you came on. Good to talk to you,
Later, buddy.
Thank you for the time. And by the way, fellas, week 3, I'm going to be there. I can't afford them premium seats you had going on, Craig, but but I'll definitely be there. So I mean, if you guys want to catch up, get together, please let me know. I'll be more than willing and love to meet up with most of you guys, and we could drink some of that beautiful Labatt Blue you got there, Ryan.
Absolutely, buddy.
We'll take you up on that. Thanks, Steven.
Later.
All right. And that is it for tonight's show. We just so you guys don't forget, and I lost the logos at some point in time. I think when we did Dog of the Week, we were brought to you by Labatt Blue Light and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group, and we are part of Team Big Play. You can find us everywhere Big Play is found. Don't forget, if you have any interest in finding out if you could be a perfect fit for Carlin, we can help you get in contact with the City Dogs of Cleveland. Let us know. There I go, not putting the logos back up again. But we're the Dawgs Table, Cleveland Browns Roundtable Discussion Show. I'm your host, Craig Fountain, here with my co-host, Ryan Angelo. And until next time, go Browns.
Go Browns.